The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Issue 1. Egyptians beset by monstrous occurrences. Lady with past kept peculiar company. Miss Murray, an artist's interpretation. An affront to womanhood in foreign parts. And opium, a heathen curse of Christendom. Strange mystery of the Hindu mariner. Ghastly murder strikes Paris fleshpots. Volume 1, Number 1 of 6. March, $2.95. $4.70 Canadian. America's Best Comics. By Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. Published for the proprietors of America's Best Comics. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, penned by Mr. Alan Moore, with delineations by Mr. Kevin O'Neill, tints and hues by Mr. Benedict de Magmele, calligraphy by Mr. William Oakley, edited by appointment to the gentry, Mr. Scott Dumbier, Mr. James Lee, editorial director, Mr. John Nee, Vice President General Manager. God bless Her Majesty. French translation courtesy of Mr. Jean-Marc Lossier. Arabic translation provided by Bromley Language Center. America's Best Comics. Dover, May, 1898. Mr. Bond, good to see you, sir.
Oh, please, Miss Murray, do call me Campion, and perhaps in return I might refer to you as Wilhelmina. Simply remarkable, the view here, isn't it?
Remarkable, and Miss Murray will be quite sufficient.
Number 1. Empire Dreams. As you wish. It must have rather hurt your former husband's feelings, mustn't it? Reverting to your maiden name like that. I dare say the poor chap's mortified.
Thankfully, my former husband's feelings are no longer my concern, nor are they yours. I take it that the captain will be here soon?
One would imagine so. But then it's the sole turn in the menagerie that you so far recruited. You know more of him than I. He suffers from an inflammation of the brain, I've told.
He has his eccentricities, but at least he is courteous. Do you consider me part of a menagerie?
Dear lady, what am I to say? Your history has placed you far beyond the social pale. Divorce is one thing, but that other business, ravaged by a foreigner and all that, quite against your will, of course. But then people do talk so, don't they?
Yes, I'm afraid they do.
Still, chin up, eh? As we see, England has a place for you. In the employ of my superior.
Ah, yes, the gentleman who's known by his initial, like a seaside landlord, Mr. M. We both know very well it's Mycroft Holmes we're speaking of. Why not simply admit it?
That is surmise upon the part, about matters which need not concern you. Your task is to find this chap in Cairo, of course, or whatever is left of him. Tell him how much his country needs him.
For a menagerie, of course. Don't worry, Mr. Bond. I won't let you down.
Please don't. We live in troubled times, where fretful dreams settle upon the Empire's brow. If England's to survive then your work is vital. Be about it vigorously and without delay, for the shadows of the century grow long, and your chariot awaits. Cairo, June 1898.
Mr. Quatermain, my name is Wilhelmina Murray. Your country has need of you again, sir.
Go away.
Sir, I have heard better of you. Is there nothing left of what you were? I see. Then may the good Lord help the Empire, sir, if there are no men finer than yourself to guard her. Sir, what are you doing? Oh, you filthy brute! What? Oh. Stop it! The British Embassy knows I'm here. They'll do... Don't push her along. Ah! Oh God, no. I won't allow this, I won't.
Damn you. Now you've come to hit a man while he's sick.
Mr. Quatermain, I think, sir, it would be expedient for us to make a swift departure.
Yes, of course. The way out through the curtain. Well, that's torn everything. For God's sakes, woman, I'm a sick man. Why are you doing this to me, miss?
Mary, Wilhelmina Mary, please be quiet, sir. We must get you to the docks.
Docks? I thought you said you had connections with the embassy.
I confess I may have embroidered the truth a little in that regard. However, I have a friend waiting at the waterfront.
You're mad. I'll never make it. Even if I do, where shall I get my opium?
In heaven's name, be a man, sir. Your pitiful whining sickens me. Now hurry. They are almost upon us.
I don't care. Just want to go to sleep.
No, you're Alan Quatermain, and your country needs you. I need you. Most especially since I cannot see my friend the captain anywhere. I don't understand. He gave me his word as a gentleman that he would meet me here. Sir, I fear that you are right, and I have doomed us both.
God's teeth! Miss Mary, forgive me, but is it the opium? Or can you see that as well?
Mem Sahib Murray, good evening. Please come aboard. If I must have women on my ship, it's preferable they are alive, I think.
But Captain, mob.
Amma, Madame Rabu, please leave them to me. there? And how was the great colonial explorer that your empire sent you here to salvage?
Rather a mess, I'm afraid, and I think you'll find it's our empire, Captain.
No. The Indian mutineers may have surrendered, but I did not. If I work with the British, it's because I no longer feel even Indian. This sea now is my only nation.
Then we are both made strangers in our homelands, exiles like our new acquaintance here.
Please, I feel so sick, need my medicine.
You are aboard my ship, sir, and my remedies are bitter.
Who said that? Everything is slipping in and out of focus. I see you only dimly, sir. If you're real and not some opium gins to torment me, tell me who you are.
No one.
Mr. Quatermain looks somewhat less frantic than he did yesterday, don't you think?
He could scarcely be worse. He was raving about diamond mines again during the night. He called for someone called Umsloop Bagas.
To think I grew up reading his exploits, just as I read yours. Quatermain, however, was always my favorite son. You were its nightmare.
The winning side writes the history books, Miss Mary. But what of you? What of your history? Why would your British Secret Service place a music teacher in the company of men as dangerous as Quatermain as myself? You are not qualified.
Dangerous men? Why, Captain, you have no idea. As for my qualifications, they must remain my own affair. I trust, sir, as a gentleman, you will not press me. Now how soon shall we arrive in France?
We have another day and night before we dock in Paris. Miss Quatermain, Mr. Quatermain, I trust, will have successfully subdued his demons by that time.
One hopes so, because of my contact with Monsieur Dupont tells me in his letters correct. But it would seem that Paris has sufficient demons of its own.
Paris, late June, 1898.
Mr. Quatermain, are you unwell?
Of course not. I'm just a little restless, that's all. You can hardly blame me. Press-ganged into something I don't understand by my own country, and now this frigid dotard we're about to meet us late. Why can't your buccaneer friend be here instead of me?
The French authorities believe the captain dead since the mysterious island affair 15 years ago. It's better he remains aboard ship.
It's better he remains dead. Do you know who you're dealing with? That's Captain Nemo. Nemo the madman. Nemo the science pirate.
Preferably, surely, to Quatermain the opium sod. I have, you may believe me, met with many deplorable specimens of humanity, but you...
Madame, that's enough. I pray God that all English women are not now of your manly ilk.
Ah, les Anglais. Always the friends. I beg your pardon. So you should. You are very loud. Disagreeable, monsieur. I am Auguste Dupin. The Chevalier Dupin. It is an honor, sir. I am Miss Mary. We have corresponded. Sentiment. You are the Gatspaws of Monsieur Bond, no? You called upon from his retirement when you need his help. As I understand it, it was our interests coincided with your own. Well, that may be. An old guest of mine, Claude long ago, seems to have sprung up open again, and Monsieur Bond expressed an interest. Come, follow me. I'll take you to the street itself. Street? What street would that be, sir? I believe that I was here to find a missing Englishman, a doctor. What you believe, mademoiselle, is your affair. I only know what I have deduced. And what might that be? That the murders have begun again. It started more than 50 years ago, here in the Quartier Saint-Roch. A woman and her daughter were destroyed with horrible ferocity. This street here, between the Rue Richelieu and the Rue Saint-Roch, in 1841. This is where it happened. The older woman, Madame L'Espanaye, had been almost decapitated with a razor then hurled through that window. Her daughter, Camille L'Espanaye, had first been throttled, then thrust feet first up a chimney. A mystery, no? Is it It is indeed. Did you reveal the man responsible? It was no man, mademoiselle. It was an ape. An orangutan escaped from the sailors that had owned it. Such is my deduction, and yet 2 months ago, a local prostitute named Anna Coupeau was discovered with her neck snapped. Other murders followed, each displaying the same bitter human strength. All the victims were prostitutes. Like how London's still in a captured Whitechapel fiend from 10 years ago. Perhaps this missing doctor I am seeking is... No, again, this is no man. An ape-like figure was reported fleeing the murder scene. I see. And your role in the earlier case led you to this one. Partly. Also, I know Anna Coupeau. Nana de Colder. She let her out laugh. She did not deserve treatment. No woman does. It seems there's nothing for it. I must set myself as bait. Monsieur Dupin, how might I pass myself as a demi-mondaine? There, how do I look? Well, you look about alright. That scarf, sir, it's too much. You should take it off. Absolutely not. Now, I shall loiter near the gas fixture directly opposite. You gentlemen may observe from either end of the street, blocking our quarry's escape. But we don't even know what we're looking for. An ape-like figure. Didn't the Chevalier say? Even you should have no trouble spotting him. She is right. Go take up your position on the corner while I occupy my own. Watch carefully now. Fantasy. Okay. Problems. That's good. Oh my God, Dupont! What is it? Where is Mademoiselle Mary? That is... I don't know, I must have looked away for a moment and... Monsieur, you are both a weakling and a fool. We must be quick. She can only have been abducted by the Rue Chalot. But how will we find her? She's like a woman down here. We shall make inquiries. Pardonnez-moi, mademoiselle. Bon Dieu, pâté. Encore toi? Les chercher une femme, une petite brune. Elle était avec une plante? Oui, je l'ai vomi voir mon client. Elle est partie par l'évêque Henry, les angéliques, les basses dominantes. C'est Henry, c'est un homme constant. And Henry Carrier. Henry c'est un petit anglais. That means il est un pilote juste et gun. Merci, mademoiselle. Vos niaises est très utile. What did she say? That she saw your friend was a skinny Englishman named Henry, a prostitute's regular. He lives on the corner. Then Miss Mary must have gone with them, thinking him to be her missing doctor. That may be. At least he does not sound much like a murderous ape. However, let us keep our pistols at ready. The apartment is somewhere around here. Good God, be good man. Back in 1941, the beast was right. The room and all of its furniture. This must be the door over here. Oh God! Oh God, no, don't! Miss Mary, hold on! Dear God, Miss Mary, what happened? What did he... In there, he's in there. I thought I could handle him, and then something happened. See to it, Dupin. All right. We know you're in there. Game's up for you, you rogue. Come on out, Henry, or whatever you are. I have a pistol and I demand that you...
Henry. Henry isn't home. It's Edward.
In the next number of our picture pictorial, there are further scenes to divert and astonish, including episodes of a balding nature, for that our lady readers, being of a delicate sensibility, may wish to avoid. Alan and the Sunken Veil, authored by Mr. Alan Moore, with accompanying illustrations by Mr. Kevin O'Neill. Chapter 1. The Dead Man. with thin milk light from the shaved quarter moon at play on the parchment of his face. The dead man made his way among the dark topiary, ever grown and monstrous, in those abandoned ornamental gardens sprawled out among the castle ruins, turrets fallen to a scree of brick and warped spines of collapsing battlement, like abject and senescent in the lunar sickle's cool, diluted shivering, so that even the dead man caught his breath. He had not thought the place to be changed since his demise. Black, spiteful grass thrust up between terraces' cracked flags, and from the center a drained and reeking fountain gazed a granite fawn, horned brow streaked white by the pigeon's droppings, and the mouth open in song, crammed full with creeper. Withering zephyrs combed the dead man's iron-gray locks and set his long tan coat to flap like sailcloth, lifting from its dusts faded perfumes of the Serengeti. Up into the morbid English damp hung on the garden air, looking into the statue's blind and bird-soiled eyes. It seemed to him he saw himself reflected, that same old young man, that same bold young pagan vision of a glorious wilderness, betrayed like him by age, betrayed by time. So lost were his dead thoughts to rue and reverie, he did not hear the huge worm-peppered oak that was the castle's terrace door swung open at his back, save for a dull, faint tingle in the thin machete scar that ran across his neck, there at the rear, below the hairline. He received no intimation that he was observed until the woman spoke behind him in low, soft accented tones that whirled the dead man round to face her, wild and startled. "Lady Ragnali is expecting you. Her ladyship will be pleased to receive you in the library. Follow me, please." The speaker was a striking negress, some few inches taller than the dead man was himself, clad in a long skirt of what looked like emerald velvet, and hung all about the bracelets, beads, and gaudy fetishes. A flickering candelabra held up in one slender hand. Her hair was hidden by the turquoise wrapping of a turban, and before she turned from him to walk away down the decaying castle's silent hall, he glimpsed the spiraling raised bumps of ritual disfigurements on her cheeks, yet could not match the scarring singular design with those of any similarly decorated tribe he had encountered while in Africa. It seemed that he had no choice but to follow where she led, down corridors that twisted like intestines, winding ever deeper into the decaying mass of this once stately building, now a bleak and ghastly carcass. Walking briskly so that he might match the servant woman's stride, the dead man marveled at the shifting tableau of fantastic disorientation that her candle halo brought to light about them. Here, garnet-eyed rats were nesting in the rubble of a great crashed chandelier that all but blocked the passageway before them both. Here, long obliterated portraits were hung side by side among roosting bats. How had the opulent Ragnali estate become reduced to this? More troubling still, how could it be this How could it be his dear former friend and patron Lady Ragnoli yet resided here, in the chambers breached by rain, upon magnificent Axminster carpets, annexed long since by the creep of moss and slug of fungus? When first he had glimpsed the moonlight relic of the castle, he had known a pang of grief, believing that his wise and learned dowager companion must have passed on without issue, leaving her ancestral home and grounds to slide into the great and final disrepair of unreigned nature. Grief was now replaced by insidious and clinging apprehension as he followed the aloof and silent blackamoor between the rotting hanging tapestries, beneath the frescoed ceiling that would suddenly gape open on a patch of glinting and indifferent stars. At last, the ebon beauty paused before a portal of smoke-damaged cedar that the dead man recognized as having been the entrance to the castle library, though now adorned by great and leaping dog tongues of black soot, the remnants of some earlier catastrophe, placing one hand upon the door's brass lion-head knob, now streaked with verdigris, the servant woman turned her cool and level stare once more upon the dead man at her heel, limned by the yellow, stuttering radiance of the candelabra that she held aloft. Her high-boned face could now be seen more clearly, with the raised dots of her ritual scars uncoiling like two serpents from her cheeks and rearing up along her temples to curl inward at the shaved and hairless brow line, meeting at the point between her green and ocean cryptic eyes. Her alien glamour and her self-possession breathed upon the long spent ashes of the dead man's passion, nursing embers back to life amongst cold cylinders he had thought long since extinguished. If perhaps he were a younger man and bore the marks of fewer wounds upon his body and heart, he grimaced and suppressed a rueful laugh. Perhaps if he were still alive, the bruised and luscious fruits that were her lips moved almost not at all as she pushed wide the ruined library door and spoke her first words since she had encountered him upon the weed-cracked terrace. Lady Ragnoli waits on you within. Dazed by the strangeness of his circumstances, he stepped past her and into the high-roofed room beyond, where for a moment he was dazzled by what seemed 1,000 scintilla of light on every side, resolving as his eyes became accustomed to the glitter into dozen upon dozens of wax candles, fabulous grotesques of spilling tallow set at random on the many mantels. Shelves and surfaces contained the library. There, at the center of the glittering firmament, couched deep within the threadbare covers of the great bed made from the two divans, pushed one against the other, was the gaunt and altered form of Lady Ragnoli, quite unrecognized save for the dancing animation in her clever eyes, sunk low within the wrinkled darkness of their sockets. Glancing up, their quick, voracious gaze settled upon the dead man, parched lips creasing into the painted smile. At last she spoke, voice thin and cracked, yet somehow poignant, like a broken harpsichord.
Dear Mr. Quatermain,
How good of you to come. I've been expecting you. Though all good sense informed me I should not.
Her smile here seemed to broaden, taking on a somewhat sly and knowing cast before she spoke again.
They said that you were dead. I had a letter from Sir Henry's brother, George, to that effect. Apparently you died at dawn 3 years ago, in 1886, from injuries bravely received, away in some darker than usual corner of the darkest continent. I must say you look very well, considering.
The legendary hunter and adventurer shuffled uncomfortably and seemed to duck his head within the collar of his long and trailing coat. There was the faintest shadow of a wince accompanying his reply.
I'd had enough. Surely you know me well enough to understand that. All the fighting, all the glories and triumphs of my youth, it all became too loud for me somehow, too rowdy and too wearying to someone of my years. But what was I to do? A world enthused by Mr. Haggard's somewhat overblown and generous accounts of my adventures would not suffer me to rest, would never tolerate the thought of Alan Quatermain, now grey and doddering, pruning his roses in some leaden suburb. No, I gave them what they wanted. A heroic death in an untended grave in some unreachably far corner of the world. Having provided my admirers with a suitable conclusion, I am free to live my afterlife, whatever span I have remaining, as my own.
Here Lady Ragnoli leveled herself up laboriously until she was propped up by one elbow on her nest of coverlet and pillow, narrowing her eyes, head tilted in a bird-like manner. To one side she scrutinized him heavily.
It was all a yarn, then. All the business that George Curtis mentioned in the letter that he sent concerning a lost kingdom called Zulvendis. Why? He told me that Sir Henry Curtis was now king there and would be no more returning to these isles. He said that you were slain, and so too was the Zulu friend you spoke of once. Umslapagaus. Was that his name? As George reported things, your warrior companion fell heroically in battle against plotters who might otherwise have robbed Sir Henry of his life. This was all the smoke and mirrors to accompany your vanishing act, Mr. Quatermain.
Alan sighed heavily and sat himself on the broad arm of the divan, there at the foot of Lady Ragnoli's makeshift bed.
Would that it were! I saw Umslapagaus himself as he was slain, hurling his enemy Lord Nasta from a parapet before he raised his bloody axe, Egosakas, up to his lips and kissed it, crying out, I die, I die. But 'twas a kingly fray. No, that was real enough. As for Zulvendis and my friend Sir Henry's marriage to its queen, Nilepthia, only my demise was sham, a ruse to grant me freedom from my suffocating reputation.
Lady Ragnola looked away from Alan and stared thoughtfully toward the far recesses
of the candle-shadowed library, where the explorer noticed that her Nubian manservant was at work building a fire within the room's sole marble hearth. With some surprise, he realized that the girl was tearing pages from the folio editions ranked upon the library's many shelves to feed the fledgling blaze. The dowager's chapped voice dragged his attention back to where her frail form nestled in its improvised, untidy cot. "And yet you came back here. And why was that, I wondered?" Her ancient knowing eyes were rested now on Quatermain once more. As he met her gaze, he understood that she already knew the answer to her question, would not be deceived. Tales of him having returned out of concern for her welfare. His reply was brief and truthful. "The Taduki. I returned for the Taduki." Lady Ragnoli smiled. Taduki, strangest of narcotics, to which she alone had access. With Taduki, one might rend the veil of time and be immersed in former lives, as Alan's own adventure with the Ivory Boy would readily attest. With Taduki, one might easily escape one's present self and circumstances. "Ah, Taduki, the drug owns us, doesn't it? Addicted to the taste of previous lives, we let our current ones go hang. I let my castle fall to ruin, while Taduki leads me down the byways of eternity. Marissa here prepares it for me. All my other servants fled." Here Lady Ragnola signaled to the Negro woman, who at once began to gather an array of curious paraphernalia from the library's far corner, setting it upon a low, carved table near a weathered armchair by the bed. Alan could see the pipe, a brazier, some powdered leaves. The servant girl Marissa patiently lit charcoal in the brazier, looking meaningfully into Alan's eyes. She handed him the pipe, propped on her pillows. Lady Ragnoli watched with vicarious anticipation as the great explorer held the bowl to catch the brazier's fumes, his lips pursing around the pipe's elaborately decorated stem. Marissa dropped a pinch of powdered leaves into the brazier as the vapors hissed up. Quatermain inhaled. The instantly familiar scent coiled tendrils deep within his skull, and even as he felt his present personality beginning to dissolve before the drug's insistent tides, he knew there was something wrong. The library fell away, and he was toppling through a hideous alien abyss where cascading foreign stars and dreadful gods howled from the universe's rim. As gibbering blackness swallowed him, the dead man understood. This time the Taduki offered another life. This time it offered him not but second death, much less heroic than his first, but much more final. Far off, as in another world, he heard the black maidservant start to scream. Then there was nothing, save for devouring light. To be continued. The British Empire has always encountered difficulty in distinguishing between its heroes and its monsters. Campion Bond, from the Memoirs of an English Intelligencer, Mesons, 1908.